Hello and welcome to the I Hit Drums, a Beginner's Guide podcast with me, Mark, your teacher for this series. In the last lesson, we were getting to grips with opening and closing the hi-hat using the foot. Today we're going to be looking at quarter note grooves. But before you do that, I want you to look at page 70, where we have another checkpoint in the book. Take the time to review these 5 questions and just test your knowledge before moving on. Once you've done that, we'll get stuck into exercise 11.1, which you can find on page 71. In this exercise, we have 4 different examples of quarter note grooves. Up to this point, we've been playing 8th note grooves, and by that I mean that the hi-hat or the cymbal part has been playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. In quarter note grooves, the hi-hat or the cymbal is just playing 1, 2, 3, 4. Now at first glance, that might seem easier. We tend to think that when there's less going on, things are easier. But this isn't always the case, and with quarter note grooves, you might find this. The reason being is that up to now, every snare drum and bass drum hit that you've played has been falling with a hi-hat hit. Whereas now, some of those bass drum strikes are going to be falling in between hi-hat hits, so you don't have that hi-hat to latch onto and keep you in time. You might also find that when you play one of those bass drum hits on an and position, that the right hand automatically wants to hit the hi-hat. By this point, you've built some strong muscle memory with the right hand, so now we're actually rewriting that muscle memory into a different pattern. The first example is super easy. We've just got a bass drum and a hi-hat, a snare drum and a hi-hat, a bass drum and a hi-hat, a snare drum and a hi-hat. So give that a go. The first example that we're going to try here though is the second example. In this one, we have an extra bass drum falling on the and of 3. As an 8th note groove, you've played this pattern before, but now we're removing all of those and hits on the hi-hat. So let's give it a try at 40 BPM. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now moving on to the third example. That extra bass drum is now on the and of 2. Let's give this one a try 2 times around at 40 BPM. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And finally, the fourth example, we have both of those extra bass drums in on the and of 2 and the and of 3, and that's going to give you 3 bass drums in a row. Let's try this one 2 times around at 40 BPM. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Any 8th note pattern that you've learnt so far can be changed into a quarter note groove. Just omit all of those and hits on the hi-hat or cymbal, and then you've got yourself a quarter note pattern. So if you feel like expanding on this, why not review some of those previous key grooves and see if you can make them into quarter note grooves. For now though, we're going to move on to page 72, where we see some new key grooves for the next play-along song, Where's the Sand From? As well as having quarter note grooves in this song, one of the other features is hitting the crash and a bass drum on the and of 4, followed by a rest on beat 1. This allows that crash hit to hang just a little bit longer before the groove kicks back in, and it's quite a nice effect for this kind of genre. So in key groove 1, we have a quarter note rest on beat 1, and we're only playing 2, 3, 4. This means that we're going to be starting the groove with a snare drum, not a bass drum. Let's give this one a try 2 times round at 40 BPM. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Key groove 2 better illustrates what I was just talking about in terms of that crash cymbal on the and of 4, followed by the rest on beat 1 in the next bar. Now for this key groove, I will admit that I've put repeat cymbals at the beginning and the end of this 2-bar phrase. But when you practice this, I recommend you pause once you get to the end and then start again. This is because hitting that crash cymbal on the and of 4 isn't actually followed by a hi-hat hit on beat 1 anywhere in the song. My bad. So we're going to try key groove 2 times, but there's going to be a little pause of 4 beats in between. So here we go, 40 BPM. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4. Key groove 3 is a slight variation of the first bar of key groove 2, so we're not going to run that just now, but please give that a try. Let's move on to key groove 4. The first half of this groove has the snare drum on beats 1 and beats 2 with the bass drum on the and position. You might describe this as driving the band. But that doesn't continue for the second half of the bar, where we have 3 snare drum hits and then again that crash cymbal and bass drum on the and of 4. There's a few ways you can play these last 4 hits. You could go right, left, right on the snare and then use your left hand for the crash. Or you could play right, left, left and then use your right hand on the crash. Or you could even start it with the left hand playing left, right, left on the snare and then that frees up your right hand to hit the crash. Any of those options are perfectly fine, so I'd recommend you try out all 3 and just see which one works best for you. There's usually more than one way to go about things in drumming, and I don't want to tell you which to choose, I just want to give you the options and let you make the best decision for you. So let's give this key groove a try 3 times around and see if you can try those different sticking options for the end. And because we're finishing with that crash on the and of 4, there's going to be an extra bar of count in between each version. Let's give it a try at 40 BPM. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4. Now we didn't try key groove 3, and part of the reason for that is that key groove 5 is the same groove, only this one is on the ride cymbal. So that's a little bit more challenging when we're not used to playing the ride cymbal that much yet. So let's give key groove 5 a try on the ride cymbal, finishing with a crash at 40 BPM. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Finally, that leaves us with key groove 6, which is the very last bar of the song. In this we have 3 hits on the snare drum, then a single hit on the high tom, followed by a hit on the floor tom, and then the crash, once again on the and of 4. Sticking wise for this, I'd recommend you play this right, left, right on the snare drum, followed by a left hand on the high tom, and then a right hand on the floor tom, and then using your left to hit that crash. So right, left, right, left, right, left. You'll also see that above this crash it says choke. What that means is that when you hit the crash, you then grab it with your hand to stop it from ringing out. Now we've got an eighth note here, so let it ring for an eighth note and then grab it. It doesn't need to be absolutely instantaneous. What I would recommend with this choke grab is that because we're going to be hitting it with the left hand, use your right hand to grab the cymbal. And just watch that you don't reach for that too fast, because you can end up bashing the end of your finger or your fingernail on the edge of the cymbal, and that can be quite painful. Also see if you can get into the habit of shifting your stick into the crook of your thumb and index finger. That way you can use your thumb and all 4 fingers to grab that cymbal. You don't want the stick to come in contact with the cymbal as you go to grab it. So let's give this a try at 40 BPM. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, quite satisfying that cymbal grab, isn't it? Let's give it another shot. Same again. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you feel comfortable with all of those key grooves, then it's time to look at the whole piece, Where's the Sand From?, which you'll find on pages 74 and 75. You might find that some of these grooves and patterns are a lot easier to understand when you play along with the track, so give that a go at 40 BPM, because some of those crash hits really lock in with the guitars. As ever, if you would like more feedback on this, you can get in touch with me at Instagram by going to @IHitDrums, or by going to Facebook at facebook.com/IHitDrumsUK. For a small fee, you can send me a video of your progress and I'll get back to you with my feedback and instruction. I also offer online lessons on Skype and Zoom. Next time we're going to start looking at dynamics, and by this I mean loud and quiet. Once you can play these grooves and start applying loud and quiet strokes to these grooves, that's when you start to develop your own sound, and also take your stick control to the next level. But until then, enjoy. I Hit Drums, a beginner's guide, can be purchased as a paperback through Amazon or as an ebook through Amazon, Apple Books and Kobo. Just search for I Hit Drums, a beginner's guide. Please like, share and subscribe so we can continue to grow this community of new drummers. Thank you.